Hi, welcome to another episode in our CEO series here on Learn, Grow, Invest. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dino Hinds from MFS Capital Partners. So it's going to be a great discussion as usual. So I'm going to ask you right now to like the video, share the video, and just, be prepared to take some notes. Let's go.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And
Okay,
who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N, Grow, Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com.
And follow us on all social media platforms at Learn, Grow, Invest.
All right, great. Welcome back. Let us pray. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for your many blessings. We pray, Lord, for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to be able to make wise investment decisions. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, welcome. Nice to see everyone here. Please join me in welcoming Dino Hinds. Dino, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Jermaine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for accepting my invite. I must say, Dino, you were the fastest response I've ever seen when I've reached out to a CEO. I mean, it was literally the same night. I had the idea, reached out, and we're talking within minutes. I really, really do appreciate that.
Yes, I hope that's a good thing.
That's definitely a good thing. It's hard sometimes to get interviews, especially, it's a random person reaching out via DM. So I really do appreciate it. And yeah, our group has been looking forward to this conversation for a while. So I think a good place for us to start is for you to, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey to CEO. Just a high level so that we understand your background a little bit.
So I started out in banking many years ago in banking, straight out of high school. Interestingly, I started out in the back office in terms of commercial banking. So I did bank reconciliation, I did a little bit of compliance, a little bit of accounting, a little bit of everything to do with operating a back office, proof department, all of those things that involve the back office. So that is where I actually started. It wasn't until about midway my career that I first got a chance to venture into the whole investment banking, treasury trading, and managing that process. When I was in back office, I always wanted to actually get to the front office because even though I was in banking, I really enjoyed banking. It just seemed like the guys in the front office were having more fun than I was. So I had a desire to really get into that space and to learn trading. And I started that process in 2004. Um, I was the very first employee for Alaska Financial Services, actually, when they started their cambio and remittance operations. So I got a chance to sit and write policies, procedures, to interact with the regulators, and to actually open a cambio, get a cambio off the ground and running. And that was a really good experience for me.
Okay. So about the investment side, what's your experience here in addition to Alaska Financial?
So I started out in terms of treasury, trading, asset management aspect of life. I started out as a foreign exchange trader. I left from Alaska and I went to First Global Bank as as the head trader there. And then over time, I evolved into the trading manager, and therefore I got responsibilities now to started looking at bonds and money market, US dollar money market, Jamaica dollar money market, and having a good feel for the overall management of a treasury department. I left First Global Bank in 2009 as the acting head of the Treasury Department. So that was a really good experience for me. And that's when I transitioned into full investment banking now at Mayberry Investments.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a chance there to be involved in all aspects of trading and investing, sitting on a lot of committees, learning about different asset classes. And I think that, brought me full circle in terms of having a full set of experience in terms of back office, front office, commercial banking, and investment banking.
That definitely sounds like it gives you an advantage in being a listed company now, and it sounds like you could maybe host a masterclass for us on at one point.
Yes, because one of the advantages that it does is that even though you're sitting in the seat of the CEO, you have a good understanding or a good feel of all aspects of the business.
Yeah.
So whether you're, talking to the financial controller or the compliance head, you have a feel of what it should be. So you can have a very fruitful conversation, and you can offer guidance to your entire team as necessary.
All right. Sounds good. So introduce us to MFS Capital Partners Limited.
Well, MFS Capital Partners, I wouldn't go too far back in the history of the company prior. A lot of persons would know the company started out as C2W. It was the transition into SSL Venture Capitals Limited. We saw an opportunity based on where we wanted to go as a group of companies and what we want our future to be. And we actually thought it would be a good idea to actually go that route as opposed to a traditional IPO, a special purpose, to utilize a company as a special purpose acquisition company. And therefore, we approached the previous owners, we made an offer, and it has been a journey from we made that offer back in January to acquisition. And we have rebranded the company, as you know, and we are now positioning the company to be a very dominant player in the private equity space in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean.
Okay. Is the process any easier the way that you did it as opposed to an IPO?
Well, I think it probably is a little easier. It's still a very involved process. It still required a lot of work. It still required getting over some regulatory hurdles. It still required preparing a takeover bid circular, as opposed to with the IPO, you will be doing your prospectus. We didn't have to do that. We still had to do a takeover bid circular, which still involve our contribution. It still involve our lawyers getting involved, a lot of interaction with our brokers who guided us through the process. So it was still a very involved process, but we think at the end of the day, it's a little easier than what we did, and just it doesn't prevent us in the future from based on our structure. It doesn't prevent us in the future from doing IPOs if we choose to do so.
Okay. And I guess one disadvantage I can think of here is, at least from the prospective investor side, with a prospectus, we would see history of the financials and details maybe on the future of the company, a little bit more would have a little bit more knowledge about the company before you actually get to that the end of that process. So that's, I guess, one thing that we don't have here necessarily, but the hope is that through this conversation, and I guess as the quarters go by and information is published, we'll get to learn a little bit more in terms of the context of the makeup of the company. Because you did mention a group of companies. What companies make up that group?
So as it stands now, As we had indicated in previous interviews, and we have made public in the past, we have two companies that, in short order, will become, if all approvals are granted, let me be very clear, uh, will become the main subsidiary of the companies, of the listed company. We're still going through that process. I mean, the entire theme of the acquisition and us naming it as a special purpose acquisition would have already signaled what
Yeah.
our initial intentions would be, right? So that intention is still on the cards, and it is still going to happen. But I think even though the market, wants to see some of these things happen very quickly, it does take a little while because there are still MOUs that have to be signed. There's still board meetings and approvals that have to happen. There's still a process in terms of the whole structure that has to be put in place to ensure that when we actually pull the trigger, that everything goes well and there are no hiccups. So that is why it has taken a little bit of time. But I would say that by we should be our AGM should be in short order. And at that time, we expect that we will give much more details in terms of the MOUs that we have already signed, the name of the companies that are going to be acquired, and how long we expect the process. We expect that the process after that announcement, we expect that process to be completed within like 90 days.
Okay. Is that AGM expected before the end of 2022?
Yes, it is. In fact, we I don't have the exact date as yet. And of course, we'd have to
Yeah.
advise the stock exchange prior, but
Mhm.
it will definitely be before the end of 2022.
Okay, so it's sometime within the next 9 weeks. So we have about 9 weeks left for the rest of the year.
Yes, yes. So it will be definitely in a shorter time. I mean, we can speak a little bit about, without speaking specifically
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the acquisitions or what is going to make up what. We're willing to speak a little bit about our group in terms of the companies that we are now a part of, and
Yes.
just give the persons an idea of what we have done over
Yes,
the
that would be
past.
helpful. Actually, that was one of my questions. So you can, go right into it now.
Right. So our flagship company would be Microfinancing Solutions. The name of the entire group is derived from that, and it's a money services company. We don't consider ourselves to be a loan company. We consider ourselves to be a full service, money services company. In fact, we consider we have actually exited the micro lending space, and we have evolved into more private lending, private credit to accredited investors. So we don't consider ourselves to be a lending company. We consider ourselves to be a money services company
Okay.
that offers a full suite of products, including foreign exchange trading, remittances, bill payment, private equity. So if, for example, there's a micro company that wants a loan, that wants funding, sorry,
Like
where we
Current
will,
Invest.
sorry,
Like
exactly,
Current Invest. Mhm.
exactly. We would literally take a look at the company, and if it's a good fit, then we would actually take an equity stake in it, and the aforementioned private credit that we have now evolved into. We also have a real estate division, a real estate company um, that is the newest kid on the block in terms of our group, and we have already acquired properties. In fact, we have acquired over $400 million worth of properties already. So in short order, we should start doing some developments in that company. And in the early part of 2022.
Are those for rental or for resale?
For resale.
Okay.
Yeah. We think that our target market would be not of the high end, but we're looking at more middle income housing solutions. So most of our properties are not in Kingston; they're in rural Jamaica, and so we have positioned ourselves very well to actually enter that space, and we think that that target market is a little bit more recession proof if the country should go there. We hope it doesn't. But we think that's a segment that will do very well for us. And we have really come in as a group. We have literally kind of become very focused over the last 3 years, because we once had 9 companies in our group. We were in manufacturing and distribution, personal care, retail, hardware, all kind of different companies. But just like as an investment banker, you preach to your clients that your portfolio should be diversified. We also believe that we should have a diversified group of companies that can withstand different impacts in terms of the economy and different revenue streams. So
those companies were sold, or what?
Right.
What happened to them? Okay.
So we have sold most of them as we become a little bit more focused, as we become a little bit more prepared for the moment that we're about to enter into.
Okay.
So we're a little bit more focused now on some specific areas. The final area that we're focused on, I will speak about it tonight, because we will be in another week maybe doing a press release in terms of our latest acquisition. So I think I'll wait for that to come out.
Sounds good. All right. Okay. So money services, real estate, and an update in terms of a press release a week from today.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So in terms of real estate, I think is very straightforward. I think persons are more concerned about in that space is just a matter of time, right? Properties are developed. Customers phone transactions may take 3 to 6 months or however long they take. In terms of revenues for the group, can we get an understanding as to how those are currently? Is it split? I figure you'll have portion for money services. Real estate, I imagine you're maybe not getting any revenues from until those are sold. So what does the money services segment look like, maybe on a quarterly basis or estimated for the year? As much as you can share.
Right. I'm trying to think about how much I can speak of it. The listed space is new to me. I don't want to infringe on announcements that I shouldn't.
But I think you're publicly listed, right? So everything about the company publicly.
Now, all right. So we have a very dynamic company, right? We have a company that was to give you a little background. The company was started in about 2012 and started with 5 million Jamaican dollars in terms of capital. And 10 years later, all the other acquisitions that we have done over time have really been done from that company. And we have not actually raised much money or taking on any debt in particular. Our debt is really low as a group of companies. So that will give you an idea of how the company has done over the past 10 years in terms of the company's ability. And it's really really comes down to, I think, us having a very great team of persons who has really driven all aspects of the company, the revenues, the strategic direction. We have a team, from the bearer right up, who works every day to ensure, because we think our model in terms of being lean, dynamic, in terms of really earning before we pay, right? That's kind of our strategy. So we take an approach. All of our persons that are working with us, they work and they understands that if we have a great year, everybody will be having a great year. But we're not a company that at the beginning of the year we're paying out exorbitant amount to our team. And our team has really bought into our vision and really believe that at the end of the day, we'll all be successful. And we're all pulling to get this one. But in terms of the numbers, you will start seeing the numbers, because based on what we spoke about earlier in terms of the acquisition and the timeline to complete, which is like this, by the first quarter next year, if all goes well and the acquisitions are completed, then you will start seeing the numbers in the listed company, since they will be, will be
All right,
public.
sounds good. All right, so just let me see. So based on your model of acquisitions, are there any plans to raise any additional capital? You mentioned you may or may not choose to list the companies that are being brought in. Any plans to raise capital, let's say maybe within the next 3 to 6 months?
All right. So so just to add also in terms of the acquisition, notwithstanding the fact that we already have targets which we have designated, right? We're also looking to grow very aggressively by acquiring other companies and adding to our portfolio of companies. And we have already identified about 10 targets. Of course, not all of these will come to fruition. We have identified, we have been aggressively talking to other stakeholders and trying to come to deals with them. So we expect that 2023 will be really busy for us. That by the end of 2023, we'll have a much bigger group in terms of our core business. In terms of raising capital, we do, well, I can't give you a timeline, but in terms of our team, we have aggressively been speaking about, how we're going to raise capital. There are various options that we're looking at. So we have not identified exactly which one of the, I think about 3 different approaches we will take, but we will definitely, I don't think it will happen in 3 months, but maybe 6 months is a better indicator based on what has to be in place in order to.
Yeah. So so you mentioned 3 potential options for raising capital. Do you mind saying which 3 they are? I mean, I figure like rights issue, APO, maybe our preference share, is that the 3?
So we could do rights issue, we could do an APO, or we could do a private raise.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right, because I think that was one of the questions here. Devon was asking if you ever do a raise of funds, do you have a preference between the rights issue or an APO?
Well, it's a very vibrant discussion in our board meeting and our strategy meetings as to which one. And so I'm not making an announcement, but
I think he just wants to know if you have a preference, right? A preference doesn't mean that's the one you're gonna go with. A preference means all things being equal, that's the one that you'd go with, but it's not a signal of a decision.
Right. So I wouldn't say it's my preference, but I think the preference overall, that are the sentiments that I've gotten from some of the major investors in the company, is that they would prefer a rights issue to start
Okay.
with. So that is the signal that some of our stakeholders have been sending, that they would prefer that option
Okay.
to out the gate. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And let me just, since I'm in the chat, take some other questions. Elaine is asking, how did the pandemic affect your business model, and are we likely to see the same business model in a recession?
So the pandemic, when the pandemic started, our main concern would have been, at the time we were very strong in the micro lending space, and our main concern would have been, okay, how will our portfolio be affected if a lot of our customers started to lose their jobs and so on. So we started from 2020 to reduce our exposure in terms of our credit portfolio. And that was one of the steps that we took then to kind of protect our balance sheet. We think that was a good move on our part to kind of reduce our exposure then. For a recession, if a recession should happen, we are pretty much, if for example the recession should happen next year, we think we'll be in a really good space, because we're pretty much a new company. Our balance sheet is still being filled out. So we think that it would present an opportunity, not that we want the country to go into a recession,
Mm-hmm.
but I would think that it would present an opportunity for us as a company that's filling out our balance sheet to acquire assets at a much higher yield than some of the other established companies that have assets, that their balance sheet would be burdened by low yielding assets, but having high cost liabilities. So we
Yeah.
believe that it would benefit us in that way, based on our position at the moment.
Okay. And another one from Brandon here, asking the current timeline for the 2 acquisitions that were slated for the end of September. I believe that might have been a previous.
Right.
Yeah.
So we spoke a little bit about that. We will be speaking about an acquisition in about a week time.
Yeah.
We will be making an announcement via press release. We just wanted to ensure that all the regulatory issues have been sorted, and we're
Yeah.
at a point where we can safely make the announcement. So we'll be
Okay.
making that announcement then, and any other announcements, we'll be making them at
Yeah,
our
the
own.
agent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And Devon is asking, will the company graduate to the main market at some point in the near future?
Well, we have not. We have discussed it, and we need to make some checks. To graduate to the main market. I mean, the company has already gone through the 10 years, so there's no tax benefit to being on the junior market. Of course, going on the main market means you pay a higher fee to the
Yeah.
stock exchange, so you have to bear that into consideration. However, if at a point we decide that we wanted to list one of our portfolio companies on the junior stock exchange, then we would definitely make the move to the main market for this company.
Okay. And Devon here with all the questions. Devon with another one here. Is MFS affiliated with Spectrum Capital Partners?
No, we're not.
Okay. Or are looking to partner with them? That was the last part of the question. It's no to both.
Well, we are not currently in discussions to partner with them, but we don't know what the future holds. But we are not in any discussions yet.
All right. So in terms of help us to understand your your expansion and growth plan. So we know about the acquisition aspect. What's your current outlay in terms of the local market, and are there any plans to maybe expand across the region? Talk to us about maybe what the future looks like, the next maybe 3 to 5 years at a very high level.
So in terms of locally, we have a specific plan in terms of the money service business and where we want to go, and we would love to achieve that in maybe the next 24 months. We want to get to 12 locations in terms of our money service business. We have a specific plan as to why we want to get to 12, which I will speak about here, but just say we want to get to 12 the locations locally. We don't want to, as a company, we're not trying to become a mass retail company anytime soon, but we're definitely trying to get to 12 locations because it fits in with a strategic step that we want to take next in our evolution. But regionally, we are aggressively in conversations with other companies regionally because we're trying. Our strategy does not at this time see us starting from scratch, starting any companies from scratch. Again, we have done that already, and it's hard work. So we want to go into the wider Caribbean, but would love to do it by acquisition. So that is why we are, having conversations with other small to medium-sized players in the region and seeing if first partnerships can be had, and then we can move to full-scale acquisitions.
Okay. Any specific countries? You don't have to name the entities, but maybe the countries that you're thinking about or having those conversations currently.
Well, two countries that we're definitely looking at are Barbados and Guyana.
Okay. Now Guyana is one of those that I think more
everybody seems to be there. Everybody seems to be there, but I think for a while, based on what is happening in that country, it will remain attractive for a while.
Okay. Yeah, I think so as well. So in terms of, so you mentioned, I believe, up to 10 companies currently being looked at. Maybe let's say if we were to speak a year from now, based on how the discussions have maybe gone so far, what percentage do you think of the 10 you think are likely to convert in terms of a successful acquisition?
So based on where we are in terms of the conversations, we're far down the road with 4 companies.
Okay.
So of course, pricing, everybody values their company differently. We have a specific metric that we use to do our valuation. That one of the things that having been in this space for a while in terms of the private equity acquisition space for a while, you do realize that a lot of small business owners, one of the things that they input in the valuation of their business is the blood, sweat, and tears that over the years.
That priceless metric.
Yeah. But as from the acquirer standpoint, that's not a number that they can put a value on. So, but we do think that we're really close with four companies, and we think by the end of 2023, at least 2 of those will be finalized.
Okay.
And we think that if they're finalized, we already have identified the funding to take them up. So
okay.
that should be it's just waiting on us to say we have reached a deal for the funding to flow to us.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So Cardo is asking, what is the demographic of your core customers? I think that's, I guess, mainly for the money services. You did mention for the real estate, it would be middle income customers. So for the money services, who are your core customers, the demographic?
All right, so say demographic will tend to change depending on your location when it comes to money services, right? And also the products. So, for example, we do a lot of foreign exchange trading, and we do in terms of our foreign exchange trading business. We do business with a lot of large corporations. We do a lot of business with other financial institutions. So for that product in particular, there's that
Okay.
demographic. We don't really deal with a lot of walk-in or cash customers for that business.
Mhm.
Whilst for remittances, it will be more
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lower socioeconomic, especially for Crossroads, sorry, for our 3 Miles location, you know, the demographic would change or be totally different from the New Kingston location where you have a lot more corporate clients coming in to, change foreign exchange or to collect money. So it
Yeah.
depends on where your branch is located for the money services business.
Okay. Okay. All right. Jason is asking a question that I'm definitely happy that he asked because as I think it's an excellent question. Does MFS have any interest in becoming a broker in the future? Based on your experience as well, I think you know the industry well, right?
Yeah, yes, we do. Uh, I know it's a simple answer. I don't want to go into it much, but yes, we do.
Okay, okay. All
I mean,
right.
just to add that a lot of persons on our team, even not just the executive, but even at the director level, would have had good, strong experience
Yeah.
in finance and investment banking and so on. So we would definitely want to evolve at some stage to that.
Sounds
Maybe
good.
we're
I,
already evolving.
I was gonna say I'd love to see, and it's a personal dream of mine to see an all digital broker. I'm not even sure if our laws would allow for that, but I really would love to see, me being able to do everything I need to do with a broker completely digital, right? So just something I'll just throw in there.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that the larger brokers, it would require some amount of investment in technology.
Yes.
It would also require that the regulators would have to adjust a little bit to allow for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think we'll get there because the world is going there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's something that as a society would need, and I think it would allow us to compete regionally and maybe globally on a much stronger footing.
Yeah. All right. Elaine is asking, which company do you consider your biggest competition, and how do you plan on taking up greater market share from them?
So I don't. So we really don't look at it from that perspective in terms of persons being our competitors, because we think that in terms of building a strong market in Jamaica, a strong capital market, strong sectors, you need companies to be in the space and coming in the space. And you want to differentiate yourself. And how can you differentiate yourself from others? You, so you want to create that niche for yourself, right? It's just
Mhm.
like a couple of years ago, I had a beauty salon. It was on,
Interesting.
yeah, yes. Well, in total at one stage I had three, right?
Wow.
But there was one in particular that was on Ligani Post Office Mall, and I don't know if you have ever been there, but there are a lot of salons on that mall, right?
Um,
But on any given Saturday, you go there, all the salons are filled because
yeah.
they're all full because everybody has their customers, everybody serve their customers. And I think that the market space is there. We're not out there looking on somebody else and saying, hey, we want to take away some of their customers. We're just trying to give excellent service and deliver value to our customers. And we think persons will support us in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great answer to that question. Jason is asking, does MFS plan to invest any more in technology of the business to provide its services?
So yes, and whilst there are some aspect of our business that is not there yet, because for example, remittances, yes, there's some aspect of it where persons are can get remittance directly to their bank accounts and so on. You still have a large section of the society that actually are still unbanked, still don't have bank accounts to send things to, and still needs to have that ability to walk into a physical location and collect their $50 or $100. I will still want to and will be serving those clients. But especially in some of the businesses that we're looking at in terms of acquisitions, technology and delivering our business services via technology is really important. It's a part of it currently, but it will be even a greater part of it as we move forward.
Okay. Okay. Next question here, which seems like our last, is the company looking into any partnerships with the NHD for housing solutions?
Yes. So we have actually, in terms of developments that we're planning in the rural areas, we have actually spoken to the NHD in terms of partnership with them. And they have been very receptive. In fact, we have even had conversations with them in terms of trying to identify parishes or areas that would be good for us to acquire properties and that they would look favorably in terms of partnership with us in
Okay.
terms of those developments. So they've been really good in terms of offering us guidance in that area. So we definitely have looked at it and we will be pursuing it greatly in the future.
Okay, great, great. Jason is asking, are there any discounts available for shareholders? He's asking for himself.
You mean for the properties?
It would seem that way. It would seem that way.
um, Definitely, Jason. Just come to my office and we'll talk about it.
Okay. And another Jason here, Jason Ray this time. Have you broken ground for the construction of the middle income projects? That's the real estate that would have mentioned earlier.
No, we have not broken ground. We're at the design stage. So
Okay.
soon.
Okay. Devon is asking, approximately how much are you seeking to fund your acquisitions? I think you mentioned that you have enough capital already
Sounds like
for.
everyone wants to give us some.
It sounds that way. It sounds that way. Devon, I think you need to reach out and
Yes. We
let
can
Leader
talk
know
about
just how much money you plan to throw his way.
it. Yeah, can draw me a check.
All right. Okay, cool. So just a couple more questions here, Dina. Usually we ask our CEOs to share with us, what type of investor do they see as ideal for the company. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
What type of investor? I think that sounds like a question that can get you into trouble. No,
Oh, no trouble, man. We like to hear it's us getting insight as to how you view your own company, right?
so we want to build a brand that the ordinary Jamaicans feel like they can be a part of and to feel like they can grow with. In fact, even though our tagline for MFS currently is "Let's Start Money," for a while as a team, we were toying with the idea of changing it to "Let's Grow Together."
Ah,
But we decided to keep the "Let's Start Money," because we believe that because of how diversified we are, we have products that are geared towards a wide cross section of the society, and therefore we think that a wide cross section of the society should also be interested in becoming a part of our company. Because if you own just one share, you're actually a shareholder who can come to our AGM and ask me the tough questions and give me your
Yeah.
suggestions and your feedback. So we're not trying to be an elitist company in any way, shape, or form. We're trying to be the company for the common man.
Okay. 1 second here. Okay, I was just checking to see if there are any more questions that were coming. Okay, I mean, reasonable response there. Any final thoughts or comments to your existing and potential shareholders as we close out?
Well, so when we started the process, the first announcement was made in January, the shares of the company were trading, I think, about 66 cents. I don't remember the exact valuation. Investing public, the market has shown a lot of faith in terms of our acquisitions, in terms of us acquiring the company, in terms of the move that we're looking to make. And I can tell you, we have a team that we're put together, and our investors, our shareholders won't be disappointed. I do know, based on the questions that I get each day, persons want to know when, persons want to know how. We have to just be very careful because
Yeah.
we are a listed and a regulated company. But we think that the plans we have, we think that the moves that we're looking to make will be really good for the company and for all our stakeholders, our customers, our shareholders, our suppliers. Everybody will benefit from having a dynamic company. I think that, and finally, what I want to say is that I think that what we have done, with this company shows that the Jamaican, the capital market in Jamaica has evolved, and now you can have a rescue operations that can be viewed and maybe studied a couple of years from now as being really successful. So
Yeah.
we're looking forward to the end of 2022 and 2023 and beyond.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely thank you so much for this interview. Thank you again for being, so open and transparent with us. We do look forward to those updates that you mentioned, the press release a week from now, and your AGM coming up, and those updates regarding the acquisitions next year. We want to wish all the best to the MFS group of companies, and we will definitely be reaching out for further conversations.
Thank you much for having us, Jeremy.
Thank you so much. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Please do like the video. Please take a moment to like the video. Let us know which CEOs you'd like us to speak to in the comments below the video, and we'll try to reach out to them and see if they'll be willing to join us. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the very next video.
Learning is the key to successful investing. And who doesn't want to invest in some way?
Here at L.E.A.R.N Invest, we focus on financial education, all with the aim of sharing our knowledge on personal finance, investing, and building wealth. We do this on the foundation of our faith in God.
If a more holistic approach is what you need, check out our Grow Faith-based financial coaching program.
Find out more about us at learngrowinvestclub.com
and follow us on all social media platforms at L.E.A.R.N Grow Invest.